Hi, my name is Sasha. Welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a short little video, I hope. I got tagged in the end of the decade book tag by Brews and Reviews, Cat at Brews and Reviews. And I thought I wasn't going to do this because I have a really terrible memory about everything, but including books that I've read. So I can't tell you exactly when I read something or what I thought about it or what it was even about. But that's what Goodreads is for. And luckily, I've had Goodreads for a very long time. Um, so I got most of my information from Goodreads, and I'm relying on some of my memory for some of this tag. So, what this tag is, it's basically separated into three parts. It talks about from 2010 to 2013, from 2014 to 2016, and from 2017 to 2019. The books you read during then, how much did you read, and then there are questions after that. So I will just get into the tag. From 2010 to 2013, how much did you read? I read a lot. That was like prime reading time for me. I was actually known at school for how much I read because I would read all the time. I would read in class when I was supposed to be learning. I read at lunch when my friends weren't around. I just read so much that I got known for it, which is, if there's anything to be known for at school, reading is not the most popular thing to be known for. What genre did you read the most? I read sci-fi and fantasy the most, and also dystopian. That was prime dystopian time. I was gorging myself on it, and now I hate it. So I read it so much that I just despised it. I think that was around when the Hunger Games came out. So, yeah, I read the Hunger Games, and then I tried to read everything that was like the Hunger Games. I read Divergent. I don't know if Divergent came out around that time, but yeah, just all the dystopian, and now I hate it. What were your favorite books and authors? So, J.K. Rowling, obviously. Suzanne Collins, obviously. I still liked Stephanie Meyer. That was still like when the Twilight movies were coming out, and I was still on the hype train for Twilight. Not that it's particularly bad. I know that, Edward's a douchebag, and creepy and kind of abusive. Everybody makes it out to be worse than it actually is. And yeah, but I also, who else? Kristen Cashore. This was probably when I started reading Graceling, and that was when my Kristen Cashore obsession started, and she she's published like 4 books in the last 10 years, and so I'm going crazy. Like Jane Unlimited came out in like 2017, 2018, and no hint of a new book. Come on, Kristen, I need something. Give me a line, give me a lifeline here. Is there a book you'd wish you'd read around this time? I wish I'd gotten into Percy Jackson and the Olympians around this time. I know I was a little old at this point, but I I read the first 3 books in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. I haven't read any more Rick Riordan, and I feel really bad about that because so many people love his books, and I feel like I would love them too. I really liked the first 3 books in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. I'm thinking of doing a reread and just getting more into it. I know there are parts that are really sad, apparently. I don't know. I want to read it. Do you have any regrets during this time period? I had trash taste. I read some of the worst books that I've ever read during this time, and they were like soapy, ridiculous YA novels that were honestly just garbage, and I regret reading them. I'm wasting my time on them. Yeah. So from 2014 to 2016, how much did you read? At first, looking back, I thought that I hadn't read that much because this was when my depression kicked into full gear and all my mental health problems started up really badly. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I've been filming it. I've been so out of frame. Wow. Um, yeah, this is when my mental health problems started. So I thought I hadn't read a lot initially, but I did. I read quite a bit, according to Goodreads. I also discovered graphic novels around this time. Plus, Booktube, I discovered Booktube, and Booktube really kicked off my reading. What genre did you read the most? I mostly read graphic novels like comics and crime books like James Patterson. I read, I can't tell you the authors, but they were like detective novels. What were your favorite books and authors? I think they were Marissa Meyer and Margaret Atwood. So this was when the Lunar Chronicles, when I was reading the Lunar Chronicles, and so I was deep into my Lunar Chronicles phase, and Marissa Meyer was like the author for me. I was like reading everything she wrote. I read some of Stars Above, and I read Fairest. And I do really love that series. That series is one of the series that, helped shape me and helped make me become who I am as a person, or a reader at least, not a person. But I also found Margaret Atwood. I first read Oryx and Crake by her. I know that the most popular book she's ever written is The Handmaid's Tale, but I read Oryx and Crake, and it's one that I haven't seen talked about on Booktube very much. It's so good. It's basically about the end of the world. It's a dystopian. And it flashes back between two timelines of before the end of the world and after the end of the world. And it's really cool. I didn't like the second book, Mad Adam, as much. Wasn't as good as Oryx and Crake. But yeah, Margaret Atwood was one of my favorite authors around that time. Is there a book you'd wish you'd read around this time? I know Six of Crows came out in 2016, so I wish that I had gotten to it that quickly and, was on the hype train during 2016. I also wish I'd read The Raven Cycle around this time because there's such deep love for it on BookTube, and it just everywhere on the internet in general. I've seen everywhere it talked about how good it is. But yeah, I still haven't read it. Do you have any regrets during this time period? I wish I'd read more, even though I read more than I thought I had. I spent so much time on BookTube instead of reading, and also just on the computer trying to numb myself because I felt so awful all the time. But I feel like if I had read, I'd have more escapism. I don't know. I try not to be too harsh on myself for this time period just because it sucks so bad for me. But I do wish I had read more. So 2017 to 2019, how much did you read? I read so much more than I've ever read my whole life. Because I was fully into BookTube at this time, and I even started my own BookTube channel. Hello, all my subscribers. All my subscribers. I have like 150 subscribers. Hello, 150 subscribers. And I was just like deep into the reading hole. Like I am surrounded by books right now. You can't see them, but I have like 2 walls of books on either side of me because I can't fit them on my shelves. And I just am so into reading right now. And between 2017 and 2019, I read so much. Like, I can't remember how much I read, but it was a lot. What genre did you read the most? My tastes became a lot more varied, so it's harder to pin down. But I think it's YA fantasy, just because that's I read a lot of YA fantasy. That's the most popular. Oh my god, I went back to. Okay. I'm so out of frame. Just because it's the most popular genre on Booktube, and so that's what I get recommended the most, and so that's what I read the most. So yeah, I read YA fantasy the most. What were your favorite books and authors? I would say my favorite authors were Kristen Kishore, still, Lee Bardugo, and Stephen King. Um, my favorite books, probably Chain Unlimited and Six of Crows. If you haven't checked those books out, please check them out. They're so good. Chain Unlimited is amazing. I know it's not for everybody. And Six of Crows is just legendary. Like, you can't have been on Booktube and not know about Six of Crows. Is there a book you wish you'd read around this time? I definitely get FOMO hearing people talk about the Nevernight trilogy and how good it is, and I wish I'd been in the community, like, reading the Nevernight trilogy along with everybody else, but I do plan to read it in 2020, so that's one of my 5-star predictions. I have a video coming up on 5-star predictions, and I plan to get to all of those in 2020, so I wish I'd read the Nevernight trilogy. Do you have any regrets during this time period? Not really, although I wish that I had gone for more of my 5-star predictions, like books that I thought I'd really enjoy. I tend to just want to try everything, and so I pick and choose, like, from each genre, and, like, but I don't know if I'm going to enjoy them. It's really a gamble, and so that's kind of what I regret, is not reading books that I know, like, I'm 99% sure that I'm going to like. So now it goes into the last 2 questions. So when did you find Booktube? I found Booktube around 2015 or 2016. It's funny because the same people that were popular then are the people that are popular now. So we love a consistent community. And it just really changed my life from, taking me to a place where I felt kind of lonely being a reader, to being surrounded by so many people who enjoy books and having a community solely based around books. How do you think your reading changed over the last decade? I think my tastes have matured, and I've started to read books that I think are going to make me happy. I also am just more choosy with how I pick a book. I, read a lot of recommendations, and if I hear bad reviews, I'm less likely to pick it up. Although there are books that I pick up just because they get so many bad reviews. I also started reading more horror and contemporary, which are 2 genres that if you asked me at the beginning of the decade or if you told me at the beginning of the decade that I would like, I wouldn't have believed you. But yeah, horror and contemporary YA are both 2 genres I really enjoy now. And oh my god. So yeah, that was the end of the decade book tag. You only have like 2 more days to do this, so if you're seeing this and you want to do it as a quick video idea, feel free. I'm tagging you. But that's all for me for now. I will see you in the next one. Bye!